Derek, it's the middle of July 2021, and this is my slightly fanboy review of the Xiaomi Poco M3 Pro 5G smartphone. Now, although it's a fanboy review, in that I am quite taken with the phone, it's also quite a grumpy review because I have not tested the phone in a number of areas which might be appropriate for younger people. So if you're a young person, you can stop watching now, or you can keep watching and see what older people find attractive in a telephone. So, what you see in front of you is a powered-on, 5G capable Android 11 smartphone. If I just move the phone just a little, you'll find out it very aggressively face unlocks. So it's running Android 11. The phone was only introduced I believe at the end of May 2021, but it didn't hit the UK markets till, I believe, July, where I got one. Now, although it's a dual SIM telephone, so it has two physical SIM slots, which I regard as very important, it doesn't additionally have a micro SD card slot. So they sell it with a 64 or 128 gigabyte internal storage, and so this is the 128 gigabyte storage model, and that will cost you about £200 on Amazon. So what do I think of the phone? Well, just like any phone at this price point, you're not going to get the best of everything, but the phone I'm shooting this on is a £500 plus Google phone. And if you step into the Apple world, you'd be talking between £500 and £1,000 typically. So this phone is £200. So please bear that in mind when you might whinge and moan about, oh, it doesn't have this, and oh, and it doesn't have that. It does have a hell of a lot. So we'll start. I've already told you the fact that it's a dual SIM phone, and that's important if you travel, because you can have your local SIM, physical SIM, in one slot, and then you can buy a local SIM for where you end up. For example, in Switzerland, you could go into a salt shop and you can buy a local SIM, and that will give you data or local phone calling at pretty much close to zero cost. So that's important for many travelling people. What else do I really, really like about this phone? Well, another very important point to me is that this phone has a large display. So this is a 6.5 inch display, 1080p phone. In fact, I think it's 1080 by 2400 pixels, which is a 405 pixels per inch density rating, which is, again, bonkers. It's a large screen, so if I'm away from my laptop, or I tend to take a Chromebook when I'm traveling for security reasons, but if I'm away from my sort of Chromebook, then this can be a pretty good substitute, because it's a 6.5 inch screen. I can read just about anything I need to on the screen. So again, for traveling people, it's very useful. In terms of the camera, again, I take a lot of photographs. The only single question you really need to know about an Android phone, which isn't a Google phone, is there a Google camera port, and does it work well? And the answer is yes, there is a Google camera port. It's down here. That's the standard camera. This is the Google camera port for this phone, and it's got about a bazillion options. So the good news is that there's about a bazillion options. It's a very complete port. It's version 8 of the camera, so it's really, really up-to-date port. It's got all the features you might expect from my Google phone. And yes, the photographs will always end up at 12 megapixels, so anything larger than a 12 megapixel rear camera lens is just not going to go anywhere. So we'd have a 48 megapixel camera lens on this camera, but it's totally unnecessary because every Google camera will be producing a 12 megapixel output. So yeah, you'll get a 12 megapixel photograph, it'll look absolutely fantastic, and don't think about using the stock camera app. Let's talk about some other features. So we're running Android 11. The phone's only just been released, and Android 11 is current, but within a month or two there'll be Android 12. Now, as you might expect with a pretty cheap smartphone, Xiaomi or Poco will probably have no interest in upgrading this to Android 12 ever. If they ever did, I would be very happy, but I suspect they won't. So I think you're going to be, quotes, stuck with Android 11 on this phone. But the increment between Android 11 and Android 12 is not that much. And if we then talk about the Android phone experience, if you just go into settings, for example, this settings is a sort of all the menus are customized with this MUI interface. It's MIUI version 12, and that's a wrapper around the standard Google settings and interface. So all the screens look different. There are quite a few nice tweaks, but the visual type of interface is different. So I would really have rather preferred it to be standard Android, which my outgoing Nokia phone pretty much was. So in that respect, if you want a plain Android experience, I'd go for Nokia, but I think their models now are much more expensive. So there's no current model at the sort of £200 mark that I would recommend. This is the phone at that price point that I think just goes head and shoulders above the competition. So we've got a slightly modded Android 11 interface. I'm of course a developer, and so you can go into developer mode. This phone is not locked, so you've got full developer options. You'll see this again. This screen is the items, the text is there, but it's just all modified. This phone can be OEM unlocked. So where are we? There's OEM unlocking. Just need to click on that and it can be OEM locked. You can also Xiaomi lock the phone. So there's sort of two sort of sets of locking, and with the Xiaomi utility you can actually upload your screen icon placements and all of that sort of thing up to the Xiaomi cloud and apparently restore that. I've not tested that, but apparently that's possible. So enough about the Android skinning. Next, we're going to talk about the communications. So again, I use this phone not only to take photographs, but actually primarily as a network testing tool. And what have I got installed? I've got lots of network-specific programs installed. I've got Cell Mapper installed. I've got Cellular Info installed. I've got Cell Monitor installed. I've got Huawei Control installed. I've got Net Monitor installed. So these are all specialist network programs, and they all work absolutely fine on this phone. Now, the other thing to notice is that it's an LTE category 13 modem, which means to say it's capable of carrier aggregation, meaning that your LTE signal, you'll have a primary band, and then you can add a secondary band to get extra speed. So in areas where you don't have 5G, which is pretty much flipping everywhere, you're going to be relying on a 4G signal, and that 4G signal can be fast or even faster if you can apply carrier aggregation. I'll see, can I turn this display? Never do this in the middle of a demo, obviously. Display, refresh. Oh yeah, by the way, you can have 60 hertz or 90 hertz refresh rate. No, I can't find it. It's somewhere. It's locking. It shuts down after 60 seconds. You're going to have to live with that. The point about this phone, it's got an LTE 13 category modem, which is pretty good. It's not as good as a £300 Samsung phone, which has a category 20 modem. So if you want the absolute best LTE category modems, you're going to have to spend at least £300 on a smartphone. But this has got a category 13 LTE modem, which means to say you can carrier aggregate a second band. And to be honest, if you do a cell tower analysis of LTE transmitters, you will rarely find that they've got 3 bands broadcasting. So actually, a 2-band, a main band and carrier aggregation second band, is pretty much all you're going to get. So I don't think you're going to lose out very much in terms of ultimate download speed with this phone. It's also got 5G capability. I'm very sarcastic and rude about 5G because in the UK and in any rural area, you're not going to, except in UK large cities, you're not going to get 5G coverage. It just can't work because the transmitters need to be within 500 or 600 meters of each other, and in a rural environment, that's just farcical. So I haven't tested the 5G. I don't recommend you go with a 5G plan. Using 4G, you're going to be getting upwards of, in this rural environment, 50 megabits per second, and I think that's fine for a phone. What else has this crazy guy got? Well, it's got a headphone jack. And, you know where it is, because I'm never going to use it. There's a headphone jack that I'm never going to use. And in conjunction with that, it's also got a FM radio, but that's not going to work unless you've got an aerial, and that'll come from your headphone cable. So I've not tested the FM radio, I've not tested the headphone jack. It does apparently have an IR blaster, but since all our devices in our home are now smart home controlled by Alexa voice, I wish I hadn't said that, then that's not relevant either. It's USB connected here. Whoops, USB connected, so that's nice. And I would recommend trying never to buy anything that wasn't a USB connected device now. You've got superior charging capability, except, of course, Apple. You've got things like NFC, you've also got GPS, you've got Bluetooth 5.1, you've got latest Bluetooth, and you've got a up to AC standard Wi-Fi. Again, I don't believe you've got Wi-Fi 6, but again, on a phone, I really don't think that's really too much of a disadvantage, since I can get at least 100 megabits per second without even pushing it on AC networking. So all in all, I think this is a fantastic phone. I'm using it for network and cell tower analysis wherever I go. It's got actually a 5,000 milliamp battery, which is going to last a long time. It doesn't have an OLED display, but it is a large 6.5-inch display. It's not the lightest phone at 190 grams, but still, it's lighter than some. It does come with a horrible clear plastic case, which I have replaced with this rather svelte £8 case from Amazon. It's got a tinny loudspeaker, but then you're going to be using a Bluetooth headset, aren't you? It does have a 3.5mm jack, not used, and there it is. So a solid recommendation. This is a £200. For £200, you're getting 128 gigabytes storage, dual SIM phone, which runs really fast. It's got an octa-core processor, most of which of the cores will be sleeping. There's an octa-core processor, can you believe it? And let's go to system. You'll see we're running a 64-bit architecture here. We're at Java VM 2.1, Android 11 API 30. So it's right up with the latest specs, right up with the latest security patches. So yes, a hell of a phone for £200. I'd strongly recommend it, and I'd get it from Amazon, because then you can return it should you not like it that much. Okay, thanks for watching.